Hi, folks. We're doing our check-in this week, and we've got Johnnie Candle. He's going to give us the latest updates of what's going on with spring at Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Johnny, let's kick it off with let's talk about current conditions and the bite. Like, what are you hearing? What are you personally experiencing? What can people expect if they're trying to get some early travels and fishing in this time of year?
All right, well, we'll start with the current conditions. And if we go by right now, they're absolutely horrible because when I walked in here to set all this camera stuff up, there were snowflakes coming down out of the sky. So it's a little bit breezy, a whole lot cold for the first week of May, and overcast and just a yucky day. We all know that's not going to last forever. We did have some decent weather last week, which helped. Water temperatures are in the very, very low to mid 40s at best. And the fishing is kind of slow in the main lake, in that main part of Devil's Lake.
So we're kind of in this weird transition. How's shoreline fishing been and shallow water action? Is that like obviously some of these coulees I know can get a little deep, but is it really the shallows kicking off yet?
Yeah, not quite yet. If you're going to fish the main lake from shore, right now you would want to focus on the bridges where you've got a little bit of moving water and the riprap, right? These walleyes are, I'm guessing, right in the middle of spawn, if not wrapping it up. So they're going to be around the rocks anyways. They like the current for their spawning activity. So if I was stuck on shore anywhere along the riprap that's near the bridges or a little bit of wind blown current, right now you'd have a lot of that. Today it's howling out there pretty hard. So yeah, you're in shallow water, but you want to be near current. That's going to change. This weekend, I saw the winds die down and temperatures creep up into the 60s. Will that be enough to trigger that super skinny water bite that we're used to right now? I sure hope so. I've kind of put all my eggs in that basket. I've got guide trips starting the middle of next week, and everybody coming sure expects to be casting a jig and a plastic or throwing a slip bobber out in 2, 3, 4 feet of water. So I'm hoping that's where those fish move to. Tradition tells us they will, but we're going to need a little bit of sun to pop through these clouds. It doesn't have to be hot, right? It doesn't have to be really warm. The sun itself will warm that water, even if the air temperature isn't 65 or 70 degrees. But it's been 3 or 4 days right now since we've seen the sun. So again, concentrating on those current areas. If you're going to come in the next 3 to 5 days, that's where I'd spend my time. And then when the weather turns around, I would start venturing out and looking at that skinny, shallow water, which is what we all wait for, right? That's I think that gets all our blood boiling here in Devil's Lake when those fish are up shallow.
Yeah. No, the warm up, right? Like everyone's anticipating that next shift to transition into the next phase of fishing, especially if they're coming from out of town and making the investment to come fish out there. Do you have any tips just from doing this as long as you have for people that might be planning? Like said, I know you just mentioned you're starting guides already this upcoming week and into next week already. Is there kind of a sweet spot or people that are like ready to hit, purchase on plane tickets or traveling? Like any tips and advice on what they can do to maybe prep before they head out to Devil's Lake?
Well, if your schedule is flexible and you're coming from a day's drive, it always makes sense to watch the weather. I know we give weathermen a hard time about how terrible they are, but they're a whole lot better than they were 15 or 20 years ago, right? We still give them a lot of grief, and rightfully so, but for the most part, it's a lot more accurate than it used to be. And if you're coming from, let's say, Minneapolis or even as far as Omaha, Nebraska, somewhere in Iowa, where you could get here in a day, I would say let flexibility be on your side and pick the best 3-day stretch of weather. The fishing is always better when we have consistent weather, and that's amplified tenfold in the spring. When you have a nice warming trend, things get better, 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 better. And then the first cold night, it's like hitting reset, like Control Alt Delete on Devil's Lake, right? We go right back to the beginning and have to do it all over again. So if you can plan your trip partway through or towards the end of one of those nice, stable weather periods, you're going to have a much better successful trip than if you start the day that it just starts getting warm, because it's going to take a couple days for the fishing to get where you want. Now, obviously, not all of us have that flexibility, right? We're not all retired guys that can call our buddy and say, hey, let's go on Thursday. if I had to say planning a trip in the next 30 days, it probably wouldn't be this week, maybe next week. The closer we get to Memorial Day, the better we get. And I tell all my guide clients when they book early, we're rolling the dice because you never know what could happen.
Sure.
Once we get to June 1st, and then even looking further down the road to say maybe Father's Day, those cold fronts have much less of an impact, right? So a cold front at the end of May might completely kill the bite. The first part of June, a cold front will slow the bite down. By the middle of June, when the lake temperatures are up in the 60-degree range and you get a cold night or two, those fish don't even seem to care, right? The fishing gets rolling and it stays really, really consistent. Not saying that a thunderstorm or really big wind might not slow things down for a day or two, but again, later into the spring, that early summer, you're not going to see those peaks and valleys that come with the weather. It stays much more consistent. And if I'm buying a plane ticket to come here, trying to guess how good the fishing is going to be when I'm there, I would probably say shoot for that Memorial weekend and into the summertime. You'll have a better outcome.
I got to give a quick little plug. I was out there during this winter and I took the train out, which is also a hot ticket too. If you're looking for another fast, convenient way to get out, takes you right into downtown Devil's Lake. So, if you're looking for another means of transportation, don't rule out the train, folks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget about Amtrak, right? It's relatively affordable compared to airfare for sure. And it's a heck of a lot more comfortable than the bus, right? You don't want to get on the Greyhound. And you're right, it does. It comes right downtown Devil's Lake. If you have a friend in the area or you're connected with one of the hotels or resorts, most of them will work pretty hard to help you get from the train to your lodging destination. And I do believe it arrives at 6:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning still. So you actually can travel overnight, sleep the best you can on the train, and actually get here and hit the ground running and go check into your lodging and get out fishing right away in that morning. So you kind of get an extra day of fishing because you're not spending it driving, right? So it's kind of cool. Yeah, it is that's a good reminder to all of us that the train is a great option to get here.
I think I paid less, and even then I upgraded to get the 2-person cabin. So it took a little longer because of the stops than just driving straight through. But not everyone has a buddy like you were mentioning earlier to just kind of cannonball it out there,
right?
Especially if you're tired or whatever. So yeah, I worked a bit, slept, had my own private room. You can bring on more luggage than you could do at an airport. Less rigmarole of checking in. It was my first time doing it, and it was I'll definitely do it again because it was a more efficient, affordable way to get out there and still get multiple things done. And like you said, by the time you get in, you don't really lose anything for the day, which was nice.
Right.
Cool. Well, I think that segues nice into bookings and logistics. I know you're probably, like I said, you've already have some booked. I know you're probably looking to fill up a summer yet, and I know Devil's Lake has a great spot on their website for finding other guides. I mean, do you have any advice for people?
If you're planning on getting here and wanting to hire a guide for early summer, let's say the rest of May or June, I would say start with some of the larger guide services. There's several on the lake. I'm not going to name them because if I forget one, then everybody's going to get mad at me. So rather than name a couple and get yelled at, we'll just send them all to the Chamber of Commerce website, right? Because they're all listed on there. But look for the ones that have the multiple boats, the larger guide services, maybe through the larger resorts. I know myself and the handful of other more independent guides that I work with, I'm full. I am booked solid. I do not have an open day till August the 9th, I believe, is my first available opening in my schedule. And most of the smaller independent guides are that way. And not because we're that good or we're in that demand, but we've been at it a long time. And quite honestly, my repeat customers probably fill 80 to 85% of my calendar every year anyway. So
awesome.
That's great for me, but it's bad for folks that want to get on the list to get to fish with me. But there's plenty of other opportunities out there. And again, starting with the Chamber of Commerce, I think that's the best place to look.
Okay.
In my personal opinion, any guide or business owner that takes the time to join an organization like the Chamber is probably pretty serious about what they do. You're not going
Right.
to end up with some fly by night guy that doesn't have the proper insurance, or his boat is outdated, or God forbid unsafe.
Yeah.
So the if someone ponies up what it costs and takes the time to be an active member of a chamber, they're pretty serious about what they do. And I know all the chamber members in the guide ranks, and they're all very, very legitimate, very good anglers. They run good businesses, they run tight ships. So you're going to
Yeah.
be happy with them. But it is never too early to start planning your fishing adventure ever.
Great
Like I
advice.
said, I'm looking at bookings into late summer, early fall already. And I'm sure a lot of other guides are, as far as bookings go, right? My mind is
Yeah.
focused on fishing today, but business, I'm looking 3 months out. So
Yeah.
if you haven't planned yet, you better start soon.
Great advice. And I'll even give this little plug too. And I know when you're a guide and you're technically in one hand you're all competing, but I do think it was very classy. And the several times that I've got worked directly with guides in my travels out there, um, you know, heaven forbid you're with a guide and things are slow, like the network and reaching out and working with each other to make sure everyone has a good experience, or weather turned where places were safe, or place like, you know, we didn't ask anyone to do that. It was just what you guys do naturally. And from people coming out of town trying to have a good time, like that is being observed, that is being watched, and that is very appreciated from my perspective. So I know others would too. So because these guys work their butts off to try to make sure you have a good time. So Johnny, what's next for you, man? I know you're always busy. You just told us you're busy out through August with guides, but I know you got a bunch of other things you're working on. What else are you up to?
Oh yeah, well, I got obviously the guiding starts here coming up shortly. Always working on social media stuff. That seems to be if you're a business owner, you're Mr. Social Media, and if you're not, then you should learn how to do that. But that's a whole nother podcast in its own right there. But speaking of social media, starting this Wednesday, which is May I don't even know what the heck day. I don't even know. I don't even care. Wednesday. That's good enough for me. Who cares what number it is?
That's
But
right.
this Wednesday, I start my first of my Devil's Lake Live fishing seminar series, which has been a lot of fun. I've been doing these for, I'd say a half a dozen years now, where once a month, and it's always the first Wednesday of the month, I go on Facebook and do a live uh, interactive fishing seminar, which we're going to cover a lot of kind of what we just did, but more in depth. Hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday, I get on. Well, tomorrow is Wednesday. I get on the water and maybe make a cast or two. But we're going to talk about where the lake is right now, where it's heading. We'll discuss water levels, water temperatures, water colors. What are the fish doing? I talk to a bunch of different people, gather information, and then I'm going to go through all the presentations. And I'm not just going to say throw a white jig. I'm going to talk about how
Sure.
I throw a white jig, what kind of rods and reels. Right? It's hardcore. It's in depth, and they last usually between a half an hour and an hour, depending on what's going on, how many people log in. I
Sure.
love when people log in and ask questions. You obviously don't do it verbally, but I follow along in the comments, and anybody that asks questions, I answer. And sometimes we get quite the discussions going on, right?
Yeah.
It can be a lot of fun interacting that way. And then these are available afterwards. They're automatically stored on Facebook on both my business page, Johnnie Candle Professional Angler, and on the Visit Devil's Lake, North Dakota Facebook page. And then they're also shared to YouTube, so they're in there forever. We get a lot of views on these, a lot of compliments. People seem to really, really appreciate my effort and my sincerity. I don't pull any punches. I don't BS anybody. I am not going to give you GPS coordinates. Don't think I'm that nice of a guy, right? But I'm going to give you the right
Yeah.
areas to go fish. I'm going to tell you what to look for, and I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you what I'm catching them on. So those are fun. I always look forward to that. And then just summer in Devil's Lake in general, right? It's if you don't live in the upper Midwest, I don't think you quite understand spring fever like we do. It's so different here than, say, even Iowa, where my buddies have been fishing out of their boat since March 15th, right? our ice just went off a week ago. I fished a little derby in the southern part of North Dakota this last weekend, and honest to goodness, after the tournament was over, I put my boat back in the water and went out and fished for another hour and a half because it's been so long since I felt a tug on the end of a line that, just being in the boat and the fresh air and,
Yeah.
the festivals start, the parades, people are outside, the parks are open. So we've got all that coming up right in Devil's Lake. Again, the Chamber of Commerce website lists all the events we have this summer, but I jotted a few down because I didn't want to screw them up. On May the 15th, we have a beer crawl downtown. If you're into beer drinking and having a good time and sharing our community with each other, they go from business to business. We've got a microbrewery downtown that's got their own creations. So it's not just drinking cans of Bush lattes, I guess is what they're called nowadays, right? I'm not a beer guy, so I don't even pretend to know, but I'll probably be there because it's a fun time.
Yes.
May 29th through the 31st is our annual car show called Devil's Run. I'm not going to guess how many years that's been in existence, but I've lived here 26 years and it's been going on every year I've been here. So I'm guessing it's well over 30 years. These are hot rods. They come from everywhere, Canada, all across the United States. They have contests, burnout contests, all kinds of stuff. They cruise Maine like in American Graffiti when I watched the movie as a kid, right? They're going up and down Main Street and whistling at each other and all that kind of stuff. So that's fun. June 26th is the Devil's Lake Chamber Walleye Tournament, which I am the MC and tournament director for. We still have some openings for that, but it's filling much quicker than it has in the past. It's our 50th anniversary tournament. So this year, everyone's getting a commemorative shirt from AFTCO. It actually will look just like this one I have on, but it's going to have a Devil's Lake Chamber Tournament logo on the chest. So this isn't like a $6 dime store t-shirt. You're going to get a $45 nice AFTCO mid-weight, mid-layer shirt with a nice logo on it. Then July 4th, because it's the 250th celebration of our country, we're having a really, really big 4th of July celebration. Parade will go down Main Street like always. It's going to end at one of our local parks, Roosevelt Park, where they're going to have free cookout, hot dogs, hamburgers, games for the kids, games for the adults, all that kind of stuff, and just a really, really big celebration for the 4th of July for our 250th year as a country. And I'm not going to get political, but just for a second, I don't care how much you don't like what's going on in the world around us right now. It's still the best damn place on earth to live. And I don't care who wants to argue with me about that. We'll go toe to toe all day long. And Devil's Lake understands that we live in a great country and we're proud to be part of it. And we're going to have one heck of a celebration for our country's birthday this year. So that'll be a fun event as well. But other than that, there's always something to do around town. There's little tournaments that pop up here and there. There's music at a lot of our eating and drinking establishments and different resorts around the area. So if you haven't ever been here before in the summertime, it's a great place to come and you'll have no trouble finding something to keep yourself busy.
Awesome. No, we appreciate the insight and your time and your years of knowledge and giving us the update in the community. Is there anything else on the back of your mind that you want to share with the group? Otherwise, we'll get links and we'll tag everyone that you mentioned in here. And we'll make sure everyone can get the information they need for upcoming events and as the seasons change and things warm up. But anything else you want to share with the folks? Otherwise,
I would just say put in all your good thoughts and hopes for a little bit of warm weather here in the next couple of days to get this ball rolling, right? We had 80 degrees a week and a half ago or something like that, a little over 2 weeks maybe. It was 80 degrees and I thought, man, we're turning the corner and here we go, and now it's snowing outside again. So we just need some weather to cooperate. Again, the fish are going to eat eventually, right? They don't go all summer without eating, but it sure is much more enjoyable trying to catch them with a t-shirt on than it is with a pair of gloves and a stocking cap. So a little bit of warm weather. The boat ramps are all in. The docks are all in. I don't think we touched on that, right? But they are all in and functional. The fish cleaning stations are going to be open, I believe, this week.
Okay.
if they're not all open already. So, and of course, we have the indoor fish cleaning station that's open year round. So that's really doesn't matter.
Sure.
So yeah, everything's ready to go. Hook the truck to the boat. When that sun peeks through the clouds, just put the pedal to the metal and get here,
Yeah.
and the fish will cooperate one way or the other. So looking forward to it. And if anybody has questions, they can contact me directly as
Okay.
well. If you want, you can put a link in there. I'm not
Yeah.
that hard to find. Just Google Johnnie Candle. You can find me. Whether I'm booked or not, I'll help you find a guide that can get you on the water. I can help you find a place to sleep, all those kind of things. I have no trouble helping out at all. None at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what we appreciate about you, Johnny, both the knowledge and your ability to help us and everyone else out. So please keep that up. We appreciate it. And thank you for your time, man. We'll give you back your day, but reach out, everyone, if you have questions beyond what we shared in this video share with Johnny. Otherwise, yeah, we'll regroup. Thank you for your time, man.
All right, man. Well, you have a good one. Thanks again.
Yeah, you too. Take care.